Okay, so doing another YouTube history recap again today. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about some of the recent videos that I watched. So the first one, I watched this video about this guy. He made a vacuum rocket, and I need to mute this. But okay, so basically, he just like he noticed that if you take a syringe and you plug the end and then you pull it out, so that there's vacuum inside and let it go, it'll launch itself into the air. And so he experimented with doing that with larger syringe, and then he made an even larger contraption where he made like an artificial syringe. And he tried to see how high he could launch things with using vacuum as like the as the launching mechanism. It's kind of cool. Kind of silly though. He that guy does make some really cool videos though. He's made like a video that I thought was really cool. He makes a lot of videos about like drones and like art, like silly drone concepts. He made like a video about a pneumatic powered motor, and he's used it to power some drones that he make. But like one of my favorite videos of his is he made like a video where like if you blow air over a curved surface, you'll get a lifting effect. I forget what the name of that effect is called. It's some like physics phenomena. But he made a drone where he just had like these little fans that would blow over these curved surfaces in 4 different directions and create enough lift to create a drone out of it. And that was just like crazy cool video. He makes a lot of really cool little fun sciencey videos, mostly surrounding drones and other like fun little physics hacks. Um, actually did not watch this video. I did watch this video though. Now Blue, now Red made a cookie out of like raw pure ingredients. The cookie did not turn out well. And I guess like the moral of the story is that like you can't really like food is not like food is more than the sum of its strict parts, which is just I think there's a lot of like hidden variables that go into making food delicious that are not just like your chemical ingredients. It was kind of interesting, I guess. Can we make a planet-sized telescope? Okay, so this one was great. I'll open this. So, basically, yes, you can make a planet-sized telescope. So basically, if you want to see things in really fine detail, very far away, like there's an exoplanet that's orbiting um, some nearest star, but the best resolution photos that we have of it is basically just like a blurry orange like glowy thingy. It's really really like faint and vague, and like you can't make out that it's really a planet almost at all. We know it's a planet because it orbits, but we can't like see details, and the reason is because like you need a really large size telescopic lens in order to do that. And modern telescopes don't use lenses at all because lenses are too big. Like the glass is too heavy and it'll start to warp under its own weight. So they use mirrors instead to collect a lot of light and focus it on one point, and that's how they get like a larger lens. But and obviously there's gravitational lensing where you can take like a really large object in space and it warps gravity, which also warps the light around it. So you could use gravitational lensing to image things that are very far away. But in order to do that, you have to be at the right distance from the object in order to, because the light like goes around something and then it then coalesces into a point. You have to be at that point where the light coalesces. And so in order for us to use our sun, for example, as a gravitational lensing object, we'd have to be as far away from it as Pluto is, which is way too far away. So like we could obviously send like satellites out there to use the sun as a gravitational lensing object and get really high definition photos of very far off objects, but we'd have to get a satellite all the way out there. And I think like even that really famous old satellite that we sent out into like outer space, like way outside of our solar system, it only passed Pluto recently. Like, so it takes a long time to get out of Pluto. Anyway, so it was kind of an interesting video about like the way that light works and different lensing ideas. But yeah, in order for us to see really far away, we will basically need to have to put satellites in very specific spots to use gravitational lenses effectively. Let's see. Um, this one I watched, but it was basically just about how like the plate tectonics moves, and there's a bunch of like old stuff that used to be on the seafloor that is now in the Appalachian Mountains. And I didn't really find it that interesting. Universal Basic Income. Okay, my brother made this video. I'm actually very proud of him, and I thought it was a very interesting video. But essentially, like, there's a lot of debate about like the effectiveness of universal basic income. Um, So I'll open this. But so there was basically two different studies that are relevant. There's one study that recently concluded in Africa, and it was very successful. Um, they gave a whole bunch of very poor communities in Africa UBI, basically, like enough income per household to sustain them every month. And because it was in Africa, they could do it on a large scale. And it was a very, like, I think it's probably one of the best studies that has happened. That one was very successful. There's also a lot of weird behavior, though. Like, for example, there were a lot of places where there were families who pooled their money together to give to one family so that they could have enough money to start a business, which is not necessarily something that you would expect to happen with UBI. And it definitely feels like sort of a one-off thing. So there's that. And then there's also another famous UBI study in America that was conducted by OpenAI, of all things. They gave American families $1,000 a month for 3 years, and the conclusion was that it basically didn't do anything, or it's like it wasn't effective. And so UBI is still like very much like a unknown, unproven sort of thing. So as far as the science can tell, or at least that's like there's a lot of debate about it. But if you look at the Africa study, it feels like it should work, and maybe it's effective. I don't know. Okay, I watched some songs. There's this. I sent this song to a friend of mine. The Cranberries color cover, "Linger." This is a really great cover, and it blew up last year. Got really popular, and I heard about it. And I sent it to my friend of mine because my friend is gonna do a cover of the Cranberries for like a Burning Man fundraiser, I think. Um, it's interesting because I don't know why it blew up. It's obviously a good cover, but it got 27 million views, which is crazy. It's like a lot of notoriety. Okay, I watched a video about some people somewhere made a contact lens that allow you to see in infrared, which is really cool. Basically, like refracts infrared light into a way that is detectable by the human eye, and so it's a lens. You put it on your eye, and he talks a lot about like the safety of the lens and make sure that it's like a safe thing to put on your human eye. But honestly, it just sounds like really really cool, and honestly, just like generally speaking, useful. Because if you're in like low light environments and you like if you're periodically in low light environments, I feel like there's a lot of extra information that you would get from the world by being able to see in infrared. I'm pretty disappointed though because he didn't show anything about like how actually it like there's no footage of how it would actually look. Like if you put like a camera looking through this little lens, like what it would look like. So there's no like information about like what the actual experience of wearing this lens is like. I'm very curious about that. Also, like nothing about costs or if this could be like um, manufactured to be available to the general public. I feel like this is like the type of thing that you'd kind of like want to be available to the general public because like um, if I could see in infrared, that means I could maybe like go around and like see at night without light. And potentially be just like a lot safer. Like I could see people on the street. If there's somebody hiding around a corner and it's dark and I can't see them, I could see them in infrared though. And same thing if I'm camping or just like any low light application. There's tons of uses for this. I feel like if it's actually like high enough fidelity to be useful and not like obstructing your vision. But I don't know. He didn't talk about that. I'm kind of disappointed. A Nintendo Switch 2 unboxing review. I kind of don't care. Same thing with this new phone. Actually, this video is interesting because they talked about like making a phone from scratch, and that I don't care about. What was interesting is they said that basically it takes around $22 million in R&D to make a phone. Like I assume this is like a similar number for any new electronic device, but basically like it's not just like you need to have all the electronics. Sure, but like that's a relatively simple task, just like pick out a bunch of like compatible electronics, but like it's much more than that. You have to define, like create usually unique and bespoke PCBs and engineer a bunch of stuff that can all fit together in a very tight and small package in order to make like a laptop or a phone. And so that was interesting. Like, but it's a general number, 22 million in R&D to create a phone, and then obviously you have to sell the phone. So that was interesting. I just got a new ThinkPad, and it has a red light that blinks on the back, and I was trying to figure out how to get it to stop blinking. I haven't figured it out yet, but I might come back to that later. This is a video showing what happens if you swallow a watch battery, which is terrifying. I don't actually remember. Fuck. Why is it being loud? I'll turn off the volume. But also I watch my videos at high speed. This is going at 5x because I don't know why, but I usually watch things at 3x speed. Anyways, you can see that like it does like this weird like translucent like thing and like moves a lot of molecules around. Don't swallow watch batteries. That's really bad for you. A friend of mine is going to a Banks concert tonight and invited me to go along. I might go. I'm not sure. But I watched the Banks video. Her music sounds cool. I was doing research into different dictation softwares that you can get on Linux, and I tried a couple of them, and I was pretty disappointed with all of them. I think I might just like dictate on my phone. I don't know why the dictation software that is on my phone is just like amazing, and then nothing else that you can get like consumer wise is actually like good or easy to use or whatever. Like there's a dictation tool on my MacBook, but that's kind of shitty as well. It's not as good or as intuitive as the one on my phone, and I'm just like annoyed. I want better dictation tools. Like I use them all the time. I would use them all the time if they're more available. How long are we going? Okay. The InMotion V9 is a new electric unicycle that is actually, I think it's really cool. It's a really good beginner unicycle. It's also pretty reasonably priced. It's only like $1,200, I think, or maybe $1,300. It has suspension, which basically, if you ever get into electric unicycles, which I think are the future, I think hopefully in like 5 years or something, like a lot more people are going to be using them because they're just like awesome. They're the smallest as package. I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but yeah, you want one with suspension, and I think that's the way the industry is going for sure because it's just dramatically safer when you have one with suspension. It's also a lot more comfortable. Definitely, it's both. It's more comfortable and safer, but it just like if you hit any little bumps or whatever, you will you just don't have to worry as much about like the potential of crashing, and so especially if you're going at any kind of reasonable speed. So that's really awesome. Beginner. It's an awesome beginner electric unicycle. It's waterproof. It has suspension. It gets decent range. It's great for going around in a city. It's awesome. I kind of really want to try that one. I love Hank Green videos. I love Hank Green. He's one of my favorite people. He's been doing a lot of videos where he answers like crazy questions from people. And so he just talks about a lot of stuff. So I think it's his first question. Wait, I don't know if it's listed here. He talks about like if somebody asked him a question like if a snail was the size of me, and but I also like secrete like oil from my skin, like if I crawl on the ground, would I secrete enough oil to leave a mucus trail like a snail would or something? And he was like basically yeah, kind of like snails proportionate to their size like leave a mucus trail, but it's not that much compared to their size or something. I don't know. And then that was just like the first question. He answered like 4 or 5 different interesting questions like that. Love Hank Green. This one is interesting. Okay, so there's an ambulance crisis in the U.S. apparently, or at least like I watched several interesting videos by ambulances recently, but this one, there are ambulance deserts. So there are places in the United States where an ambulance will not reach you for 20 to like 40 minutes as opposed to like 8 to 15 if you live in a city. Like if you're anywhere rural or outside of major cities, then there are a lot of places where like you just like if you have a medical emergency, an ambulance will not reach you in a very short amount of time. And so that's like concerning. I'm surprised I didn't know about this before. It seems kind of obvious though in retrospect, and also I'm not sure what could be done about it. I did watch another video the other day. I listened to a podcast. Maybe it was also a video. I don't remember. No, it was a podcast. I listened to a podcast where they're talking about how like sirens on ambulances are actually like mostly unnecessary and are used way more frequently than they need to, and the noise pollution is arguably more damaging than any amount of like lateness that could come from not using the siren. and so it's really weird. Like there's a lot of outdated rules about how ambulances work, and also they also talked about like the evolution of the ambulance and how like the ambulance used to not be a thing that like ambulance EMTs didn't used to exist. There was a time in the past where like only a doctor was allowed to give medical treatment, and the people in the ambulance were literally just people who were driving you to the hospital so you could get medical treatment. And then they changed the rules, largely because of this. There's this show called um, it's not Sirens, but it's an old show basically about ambulance drivers, and they always depict like every single interaction in the show with the ambulance arriving on the scene, in the nick of time to save somebody. But that's not how most ambulance calls are. Like a very small percentage of ambulance calls actually are for a life critical emergency where the ambulance needs to get to a hospital in like the shortest amount of time possible, and the rest of the time they're using these sirens, which are not really necessary, and they cause a lot of noise pollution. And it's arguable that they don't need that, and they should only be using the sirens for like really critical situations. Anyways, it was interesting. What the female gaze really sees. This one was very interesting. Okay, so basically, it's about how like the like male perception of what looks good in men is different from female perception of what looks good in men. Women tend to like men who are less ultra masculine. Like they like masculine men, but they don't like they like them to have to be basically pretty. Whereas men think that women like, or at least men think that women like ultra masculine men, like very bushy, often like hold on, play, like uh like women don't tend to not like balding men, but men tend to think that like ultra masculine features like a big beard or balding or whatever might be more interesting. I don't know. So it was a very interesting video. I like this guy's videos. He makes videos about like this sort of stuff where there's like subtle differences in the way that like populations perceive things, and really liked it. Yeah, good shit. I think I'm going to leave a list of all the links of the videos in the description. So if you are interested, you can watch. Um, okay, so I really like these guys. Burback. It's like twins. They do YouTube stuff, and I'll just scroll through one of their videos really quick. So this one was about like how like there's too many film franchises and comic book franchises that use like the multiverse, and it's kind of obnoxious and annoying because it usually like creates like confusion about like how much stuff can happen, and also therefore like causes you to care less about your characters because like they might just be from a neighboring universe where things are mostly the same but slightly different, and you don't know if you should actually care about them. And it's like, I don't know, it is interesting. um Also like the state of this light fell down, the state of the union in superhero movies. Pretty interesting. I love those guys. Love those guys. Really good. Another one about this one was basically just a rage movie about how the what the fuck is the name of this movie? Why is the volume coming back? Stop. Okay, so they're comparing The Last of Us and God damn it, I forgot the name of this game. Whatever this game is, they just made a movie about it. Tom Holland. Why can't I remember the name of this game? I played this game. The Uncharted games. The Uncharted games. Okay, so basically, like, they love the Uncharted games. I love the Uncharted games. I mean, I feel like the Uncharted games are very dated now. Like the gameplay, like I don't like the linear sort of like corridor gameplay where you can only go in specific places. Like after I played the Breath of the Wild and all the new like open world, open sandbox games where you can explore anywhere and go anywhere and do anything, those are way more fun and interesting, and also way more compelling than anything where it's like, sure, like you can get just as much story out of it with an open world, and you don't need to like create just like a limited set that has limited interactions. I don't know, like ever since I played Breath of the Wild, I don't really like those games anymore. But they're comparing The Last of Us, which is also a game like that, but has amazing storytelling, and the show is amazing versus Uncharted, where like the Uncharted movie did not have very good reception, and also they just kind of like butchered the story, which is why characters love it, and yeah, it was kind of I don't know, interesting, I guess. This guy he's gay YouTuber, makes videos that I like to watch about like the history of random stuff that you think are interesting. I really like the style of video making. But this video is about how like people sort of like conflate his identity with just being gay and how he's annoyed about it, and I can see how that would be annoying. But also, all right, series and parallel circuits. I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna wrap up soon. New ranks are impressively good. I didn't actually finish this. I didn't care about that. Bismuth, the future of tech. Bismuth has had a lot of uses and things, but also I wasn't listening. Is Microsoft just released an update to Windows that requires that new Windows laptops have USB-C and USB 3 compatibility, so you can't use USB 2 anymore, which is awesome. But it's like, come on, like it's 2025. They should have done this like 10 years ago, or like I don't know, a long time ago. It's kind of stupid that they are just now, but we get what we can take, I guess. Let's see. I'll do a couple more and then I'll stop. What else? I watched a bunch of videos about how to fix the screen on my new laptop because it has water inside of the screen. It's not like super obnoxious and you can't really see it when the screen is bright, but when it's dim, you can see that there's like a little bit of like water in there, and so I was trying to figure that out. I might at some point like take it apart and see if I could dry it out, but it doesn't seem to be hurting it, damaging it, and it's not super noticeable, so I don't know if I'll take time to do that. But yeah, this one is super interesting. Okay, I'll stop with this one. Xylitol is an alcohol sugar. Oh, why did it do that? Expand. It's an alcohol sugar that is it's a super interesting alternative sweetener. It has a lot of very useful properties, and it's interesting to me. So okay, so like this is a sweetener that you usually find in like your Orbit gum or whatever types of gum that are supposed to be good for your teeth. It has this interesting property where it feeds the bacteria in your mouth, but it also makes it so that they grab onto the sugar in such a way that they can't really grab onto other things, so it makes it really easy for them to be washed out of your mouth. So it's really good for your teeth and your mouth microbiome. It's also supposed to be good for it is 30% less metabolically active, I want to say, if I remember right. And so it's a better alternative to sugar, and in that way it won't spike your blood sugar as much. And also it's apparently like good for your bones. It helps your bones heal. They did a study where they drilled holes in the bones of these rabbits and they gave them xylitol, and they healed faster when they were eating xylitol. And then and then I don't know. And I think it's also supposed to be good for your microbiome in your gut as well. I do know that I watched another video. There's this famous physicist that I really like, Sabine Hossenfelder. She said that she has an allergy to alcohol sugars, and they're I think becoming more common and ubiquitous. And so if she eats anything with that, then she has like insane IBS, and it took a long time to figure out what it was. And so I don't know. I guess some people don't tolerate it well, but I do. I like it. And I wonder why it's not more common to have xylitol in more foods, considering that there's so many things that have like tons of regular sugar, which is really bad for you. So it's called alcohol sugar, which is like because of the chemical composition, not because there's actually alcohol in it. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's the last one. But you can see I can go for days. All right, let me see. How many days of watching was that? Oh wait, there's one more. Actually, there's a couple more. Okay, so I was researching this Helium Mobile. It's a cryptocurrency phone network alternative. It's kind of like Mint Mobile or these other like super cheap wireless plans. But this one has the ability, if you give them access to your location data, it's anonymous, but it's basically to help like train their algorithm. They have this Wi-Fi hotspot sharing system where if you can turn your phone into a hotspot that shares their network to other people. So your phone basically becomes like a relay switch. And if you do that, plus also like share your anonymous data to help them with their network, they will pay you in this cryptocurrency, which you can use to pay for your plan. So you can essentially have like, your normal 30 gigs of internet, whatever plan, which is, I think it's reasonably priced. It's like $20 a month for something, or something for like 30 gigs of internet. But if you pay for it, you can pay them back for it with the cryptocurrency you earn by using their plan with the hotspot thing, and essentially have like a free phone bill. And that's super interesting. So that's called Helium Wireless, and I watched a video about this. Um, and then this one was also interesting. Nile Red dehydrated 100 cans of Red Bull to try and make like a super concentrated Red Bull drink, and he almost successfully did it. He lost a lot of the stuff in the process, and so it was actually 67 cans in the end of Red Bull dehydrated. But it was still very concentrated, interesting, and he said it didn't really taste good, or at least like wasn't sweet. It's kind of like super sour and chemically tasting. But he really liked it, and I don't know, it was like a fun video. Okay, all right, that's it.